Today I'll be showing you how to make this silver leather cuff bracelet using your Cricut cutting machine. This is a pretty quick and simple project. So here I've included a list of everything you're going to need. You'll find links in the description for supplies and to download the bracelet SVG cut files for this project. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. The first step is to download the bracelet SVG file. So you have a couple of options here. You can buy the one on the left for a few bucks in my Etsy shop, which also helps to support this channel. There's a 25% off code in the description as well, and you'll get 2 other designs with it. And if you'd rather go the free route, I've linked to some free designs that you can download as well. If you're purchasing the file from my Etsy shop, just follow the link and click Add to Basket, and then proceed to checkout. You'll get an email with the download link and also be able to access it under Purchases and Reviews in your account profile on Etsy. If you're downloading a free file, follow the link and make sure you filter for free files here on the left. Find one that you like. So I'm going to go with this one here. Click it and you'll be taken to the download page. And then you can go ahead and click free download and the file will download to your computer as a compressed zip file. Now it's time to open the file in Cricut Design Space. So to do this, go ahead and open Cricut Design Space. Find the design file on your computer that you just downloaded and unzip it. You can open the folder and you'll find 5 different formats of the same design. And you'll want to find the one with .svg at the end. That's the one we're going to be importing into Cricut Design Space for this project. So back in Cricut Design Space, start a new project and click Upload in the left panel, and then click Upload Image, and you'll see this drag and drop box. So you can either browse for your file or you can drag the SVG file into the box like I'm doing here, and then click Continue. Now these files already have the background removed, so go ahead and click Upload. The design will be added into your new project, and now we just need to resize it. So go up to Size and enter the size of your wrist. So mine is 6.5 inches. If you don't know how to measure it, see the description for a link to a tutorial, and then click Enter, and the design is ready to cut. The next step is to prepare our mat and material for cutting. So I'm using a strong grip mat because leather is prone to moving around during cutting, and I'm also using strong grip transfer tape to help keep my mat clean because leather can be really messy. So here I'm placing it with the sticky side up and then securing it using the brayer and then peeling off the backing to reveal the sticky side. This is the piece of leather I'm using. If you're using leather, make sure it's not too thick. I've linked to an article in the description about choosing a leather that will work with your Cricut. So this one is about 1.1 millimeters thick, and I already did some testing and added the custom cut settings to Cricut Design Space. And I've also linked in the description to a tutorial on how to actually find the cut settings for your leather. So I'm placing it with the fuzzy side up onto the transfer tape here and making sure it's really secure with a brayer. In this case, because the cut is a little bit on the intricate side, I also decided to use painter's tape on all sides to prevent the leather from moving around during the cut. I've had this happen before and you can end up completely ruining your leather, so I like to be a little bit more on the cautious side, especially when I have a piece of leather like this that I can't easily replace. And you want to make sure to put it along the edges so that the blade doesn't actually cut the tape. This can make the blade sticky and less effective with leather. Now we're going to set up the cut. So go back to Cricut Design Space and click the Make It button, and then position the design to the correct place on the mat. And once you've done that, you can click Continue, and you'll see this Cut Options page. Select the custom setting that you've added for your leather. I've included mine here on the screen in case it's useful for you. And now it's time to cut. So to cut your bracelet, go ahead and load the mat into the Cricut. Move the star wheels to one side so they don't imprint your leather, and then press the flashing Load Unload Mat button. And then when the Cricut's ready, press the flashing Go button. It's going to start the cut, and now we can just let it work its magic. I recommend a deep point blade for this. Some of the cuts will be too intricate for the knife blade, and the fine point blade won't work well on leather. And then you also want to make sure that it's sharp. A dull blade will ruin the project. And here we've got our cut. So now we're going to weed the bracelet, which just involves removing all the little bits, the transfer tape, and just removing the bracelet from the mat. So I'm starting by picking out all the little cut pieces. I'm using a tweezer, but you can use whatever works for you. You'll see that the Cricut cut through the transfer tape. I haven't been able to avoid this, but I find that using the tape still keeps my mat cleaner than if I don't use it. It probably would have been quicker to just peel the bracelet off the mat, but I find this part oddly satisfying. And now I'm just carefully peeling the bracelet off the mat. Okay, so here we have our bracelet, and now I need to remove the transfer tape from the finished side of the leather. This step is really tedious, especially when the bracelets are very intricate, but this bracelet is not as intricate as some of the others, so it wasn't too bad. I will say that I'm not being as careful here as I should have been, especially with a piece of leather that has such fine detailing in the finish. So I would say go slow and take your time with this step. You don't want to damage your leather. And I managed to get it off cleanly, and we have our freshly cut bracelet. Now this next step is optional, but I'm going to seal the back of the bracelet. So this prevents the fibers from shedding off the back, and it gives the whole thing a more professional finish. The sealant I use is called Fiebing's Leather Sheen, and you can get this at most leather and craft stores. I usually apply a couple of layers, and this seals and protects the bracelet. So take a clean rag and apply some sheen to it, and then gently dab at the back of the bracelet with a bit of pressure. You'll see the color start to darken, which helps you to keep track of which areas you've covered and which ones need a little bit more. So go ahead and apply an even coat to the entire back and then let it dry for 8 hours. You can then apply another coat if you want, giving it another 8 hours to dry, and then move on to the next step, which is installing the snap closure. To install the snap closures, you'll need some snaps and the right installation tools. I've linked to this kit in the description that includes everything you need to install the snaps except for a hammer or mallet, which you're also going to need. The snaps that I use are 12.5 millimeters, and I also like to work on a wooden block to protect my table. The first thing you might need to do is enlarge the holes. So I used the hole punch that came in the kit, and I positioned it over one of the holes and then gave it a few hits with the hammer. I'm just checking to make sure that it's a clean cut, and then I repeat this on the other side, and now we have 2 holes of the right size. Next, I'm going to position the button and socket on one side of the bracelet. So hold the bracelet flat with the fuzzy side facing up, and then feed the button up through the hole. I'm laying the button flat on the concave side of the base that came with the kit in order to protect the button. And now I'm placing the socket on top of the button on the other side of the leather, and now we're ready to secure everything with a few hits of the hammer by placing the pointed installation tool into the center of the socket and giving it a few hits. I'm checking that everything looks good, and I notice that it's not quite fully secure in this one spot. And so if this happens, give it a few more hits with the hammer until there are no gaps and nothing is moving. It is worth practicing this a few times on scraps until you get the hang of it. And now we're going to position the eyelet and stud on the other side of the bracelet. So I'm inserting the eyelet up through the hole on the fuzzy side of the leather and placing the stud on top of the eyelet on the other side of the leather. I'm flipping over the base so the convex side faces up, and then aligning the center of the base with the hole in the flat part of the eyelet. And now I'll secure everything using the hammer. I'm holding the concave installation tool over the stud and giving it a few hits with the hammer. And again, check that everything is secure and make any adjustments if you need to. And once everything looks good, the snaps are done and the bracelet is ready to wear. And here's the final completed bracelet. You can see that the snaps are nice and secure and everything looks great. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to like and subscribe so that I know to keep making more like it. And that's all for now.